This is Histories and Mysteries Uncovered. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jessica. And on this week's episode, Ashley is going to be talking about the murder of Amber Tuccaro. And I will be talking about the horrible, horrible, so sorry. The Wesson Family Murders.
Never heard of it, but you told me it was awful.
It's awful. And honestly, there's not a lot on it considering how horrible it is.
Yeah.
But a huge warning for my story. Um, I'm just gonna put it out there now.
Yeah.
It involves um children dying,
Oh.
death of wee babies, which is
No.
horrible. And it also includes incest.
Ooh.
And it's a cult.
If I can make it through Game of Thrones, I can make it through this incest.
It's horrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
She texted me that today and I said, "Why are you the way that you are?"
When I do true crime, I do true
True
crime.
cream. You. True cream. Ugh.
When I do true crime, it's awful. I'm so sorry, everyone. So buckle up.
And if you guys haven't already, we posted our contest on our social media. So please go and check it out and enter to win a couple of really awesome prizes that we have. And also join our Patreon. We have one bonus episode that we already dropped, and a second one that will be dropping at the end of this month, where Jessica and I go over some Reddit Am I the Asshole posts.
They were awful.
They were so bad.
Like, they were a lot to unpack.
Yes, they were.
So it wasn't just us reading those stories, we analyzed them, we
We
broke them down.
unpacked. Yes. Yes.
And there was a lot to unpack.
There was. There was. Uh, so my story, well, I didn't want to call you out either, but her name's Amber Tuccaro. But
Oh, shish kebab. Okay.
shish kebab. That's
I
okay. I
can't
told you real quick in passing at the very beginning, and then you had to remember. So
I can't I can't swear at work because I work in admin.
yeah.
And so whenever I want to say shit, I turn it into shish kebab.
Like on The Good Place when she had to say fork instead of
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So my story is really sad.
Hmm.
And I will tell you right now, it is still unsolved.
Hey.
But the more airtime Amber's story can get, the better. So I got my sources from the Hue and Cry, CBC, and Edmonton Journal. Amber Alyssa Tuccaro, a member of Alberta's Mikisew Cree First Nation, was 20 years old when she was last seen on August 18th, 2010 in, is it pronounced, if you've heard of this, Nisku Alta?
I don't know.
Okay, well, it's a place in Canada. How do you not know all places in Canada?
Because it's Western. I haven't been west of Ontario. I have been east of Ontario, but I have not been west of Ontario.
Oh.
So I've never been to Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, British Columbia.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a lot of them.
I've been to Ontario, obviously, because I live here. Quebec, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. That's about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this one was further than that. And
Clearly.
at the time, Amber lived with her mother, Tootsie, and Amber had a son named Jacob, and they all lived together.
Was her mom's name like a Tootsie Roll?
Well, it's Tootsie.
That's so freaking
Isn't that a
cute.
cute name?
Oh,
It's
that is
Tootsie or
like a
Tootsie.
well, if it's spelled the exact same as a Tootsie Roll, so
Yeah,
that's
very cute.
really cute. I
Yeah,
love that name.
I do too.
Oh,
So on that doesn't count as an that was an on August
you said
17th.
uh.
No, I did not. Really?
Yeah.
Shish kebab.
I said too, so it's fine.
I'm really trying to
And
work
you
on my
already said one
guys.
earlier too.
I know I caught that one. I was like, damn it. I'm trying really hard. Okay. On August 17th,
Did you say
20.
again?
No, I didn't. I took a deep breath. There's no I said on August 17th, 2010, Amber, her son Jacob, and they just said a female friend. They never named the friend. Decided to take a weekend trip to Edmonton, which you said is the capital of Alberta.
Yeah.
Their plan was to save some money by spending the night just outside of the city and then head into Edmonton the next day. But when they got to their hotel, Amber was super excited to get to Edmonton. She didn't want to wait. And she wanted to go there for the nightlife and I think kind of like party up a little bit, but her friend didn't really want to go. So Amber left her son with her friend and decided to hitchhike into the city.
Oh,
Yeah. The next morning, her friend woke up, but Amber was nowhere to be found. Her friend immediately called Amber's mom, who called the RCMP to report her missing. And for those of you who don't know, that is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Which, why are they
yeah.
called the mounted? Is it because they're on horses?
I think they used to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're not any like I don't know. They might sometimes they might be, but
I picture
yes.
all of your police officers on horses.
Not the
Every
ones
single
in
one of them.
Ontario.
None of them have cars. They're all on horses.
Imagine. Oh my gosh. I mean, in our criminal code, it's still in there that you're not allowed to duel.
Oh,
So,
well, damn. I guess we can't do that if I ever come visit.
yeah.
Or I should say, when I come visit.
Yeah.
Where am I? Okay, so Amber's mom called the RCMP to report her missing, but police didn't take her mother too seriously. Her mother said that they told her she was probably alive somewhere in the Edmonton area, just kind of partying it up and would pop up eventually. It's basically what they said. And like, I get that she's 20, she's young, she's partying, but she has a kid and her kid is with her friends. So I don't think she would just not come back. But they said that that is part of, they think, what plays into the racism is that they see the First Nations people as just a bunch of drunk partiers, which is not what they are. And so they kind of viewed her as that way. And that's why they didn't necessarily take it so seriously.
Well, and the thing is that it is a huge thing. It is a horrible thing that's going on. And there's even an organization that's called Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls
Yeah.
because of how often it's happening here.
It happens in America a lot too. I think we have a couple organizations like that as well. And I just, it, it boggles the mind. I just don't
Yeah.
understand what plays into that. I mean, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. And I
Why?
don't think we are ever going to get it because we're not like those people.
We can't. We're white. We're in a place of privilege. Like there's no way for
Yeah.
us to understand that. And it's just awful.
Yeah.
So that was it. Nothing more came of it. 2 years later, police released a phone call that Amber had made to her brother, who was in jail at the time, which is why this phone call is recorded. There is a man in the background, and that's why they released this call to see if anybody recognized his voice. And since it had been 2 years since anybody had seen Amber, the police said that they now presume she was dead. I listened to the phone call. I have the transcript here and I'm going to read it for you guys, but it's really sad because you can hear the fear in her voice. She's trying not to act scared, but you can hear it. And I think what shocked me the most is how young she sounds. I mean, she's only 20, and just her
Yeah.
voice, she sounds so young. But so they only released a minute of the phone call. And that minute says, Amber, where are we by? Man, we're just heading south of Beaumont or north of Beaumont. Amber, we're heading north of Beaumont. Yo, where are we going? Man, just the back roads. Amber, are you fucking kidding me? Man, no, I'm not kidding you. Amber, you better not take me. You better not take me anywhere. I don't want to go. I want to go into the city. Seriously. Yo, we're not going into the city, are we? Man, we're going. Amber, no, we're not. Man, yes. Amber, then where the fuck are these roads going to? Man, 50th Street. Amber, 50th Street. Are you sure? Man, absolutely. Amber, yo, where are we going? Man, 50th Street. Amber, 50th Street? Man, 50th Street. Amber, east, right? Man, east. Then there was like a couple more talking, but the phone was breaking up, so I couldn't really understand what they were saying. And then the phone disconnected. And that was the minute that the police had released.
But like, why does it get released 2 years later?
Yeah.
Like, how? Especially if you've had it for that long, do you not think that it would be important to release something like that sooner rather than later?
Well, what I'm thinking is they didn't even look into it. Like they didn't even look into the recorded phone. They didn't even know there was a recorded phone call because they didn't look into the case at all. And then someone down the line started looking into it, or her brother said, yeah, I just talked to her. And then they looked at the phone call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the RCMP believed that the man took her southeast along rural roads instead of into the city, took her into the country. Sadly, on September 1st, 2012, the RCMP suspicions were confirmed. Horseback riders found partial skeletal remains on a farmer's field near Leduc County, and they did confirm that the remains were Amber. She was found just south of her motel. They also found out, excuse me, chills, that the phone call was 17 minutes, which is the exact amount of time it took to go from her motel to where her body was found.
Ew.
So when that phone call disconnected, she was basically murdered right away after that.
Oh, that's
After they released the 1 minute
horrible.
clip to the phone, the 1 minute clip of the phone call to put after the police released the 1 minute clip of the phone call, two women came forward saying they knew the voice of the man who was on the phone call. One
Oh,
said, quote, I know that voice. I've ridden with that voice before on several occasions. There's no doubt in my mind that it's his voice. But our CMP said they looked into that man, the woman named, and said that he has been ruled out as a person of interest. And so because of that, they didn't
worse.
release his name.
Ugh.
And unfortunately, that's it. There's no other evidence, no other suspects, nothing. In 2014, Amber's family filed a complaint against the RCMP for the handling of the case. And in 2018, so 4 years after they filed their complaint, the family received a report saying the investigation was deficient into the case of Amber. So they filed a complaint. Whoever handles the complaints against the police made a report that said, yeah, that investigation was deficient. They also suggested that the RCMP issue an apology to the family.
That's it.
Yeah.
An apology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you had done your jobs correctly.
Wait till we get to the apology.
I don't want to. I'm already
Even,
like,
I know, even the other lady who recognized the voice said, quote, "They didn't look very hard, I don't think. I knew the voice like I know the back of my own hand." So this report brought to light several things. One was that, like I said, the investigation into Amber's disappearance was deficient, quote, deficient in that various members were either not properly trained or did not adhere to their training. It also said, quote, in effect, approximately 1 month passed without any effort being made at the detachment level to investigate Mrs. Tuccaro's disappearance. At the National Inquiry into Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women in Edmonton last year, Paul, who is Amber's brother, testified that the RCMP downplayed the family's concerns about Amber's disappearance. They wouldn't list her as a missing person until she'd been gone at least 24 hours,
oh
and
my
they
God.
didn't keep in contact after her remains were found. Paul also alleged that his sister's belongings were left at the hotel for a month before police threw them out. The family said the report gives them a sense of vindication, but obviously not closure. And in 2019, 9 years after Amber's death, the RCMP have formally stated that they will apologize to the family for the deficient police work. And they did during a meeting when Deputy Commissioner Curtis Zablocki said, "Our Leduc Detachment's initial missing persons investigation was not our best work."
Really?
Yeah.
Was that it?
No, he said, the quote, "The early days of our investigation required a better sense of urgency and care," he said. And then he said, he did say, "I am truly sorry." He said that Amber's case is making changes happen within the force. But Amber's mother said the apology didn't mean anything to her because they were told that they had to do it by the report. The report said, "Hey, you have to apologize." So she's like, it doesn't matter. They had to do it. It's not like they did it of their own volition. And then Curtis Zablocki was called away to go to his next appointment and got up and left while Amber's family sat there.
Wow. So you couldn't even like, he couldn't even take the time to
Yeah.
kind of talk to them after.
Yeah. And like they were still in the like it was still, there was a panel. It was the family and he was sitting next to them and the reporters were still talking to them. And someone was like, "Oh, you have the next meeting or appointment that you have to get to." And he's like, "Okay." And he just stood up and left.
I don't think that you could have like planned that better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes me so, it makes me mad that, you know, they're saying her case has put some things into motion, but, and it is making changes. But those situations shouldn't happen in the first place for those changes needing to be made.
Yeah. And it's
Like
not even
you
like this
treat them
was,
like any normal person.
yeah. And it's not even, this shouldn't matter, but it's not even like this is an old case. I mean, this was 2000s, you know?
Yeah.
There was one
It's
update January 24th, 2020. The RCMP received a tip by a male who said that his father may be responsible for a missing person from the Banff area and that he thinks his dad was linked to numerous missing people and homicides in Alberta and thinks that his dad was involved in the murder of Amber. He also apparently posted this on his social media because the police didn't take him seriously, so he like wanted to get more attention for it, but then later took it down. And our RCMP said they looked into it, but some of the names of the missing people that he said he thought his dad was responsible for, their cases were already solved. So it didn't really seem like he was legit. And it said, quote, the RCMP continues to seek information on the Amber Tuccaro case, but caution that erroneous information can have negative effects on the investigation and to the well-being of the family. And I wanted to end this with a quote from her mom. And she says, I'm 56 years old now and raising a little boy that is so full of energy. He drives me crazy, but at the same time, he's my sanity. I mean, he's all that I have left of my baby. Just the way he looks at me sometimes and the way he stands like his mommy, the way he says words, he says them in the way that Amber used to. Like Amber had a witty attitude, and that's what Jacob has, she said between sobs. Jacob will be starting ninth grade this fall.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyone with information is asked to contact Alberta RCMP at 1-855-377-7267.
Not like they'll listen to you.
Yeah. So
Sorry, that just makes me like rage.
so mad. So mad. I don't, especially my thought is if you go into the police force, yes, there are some people that go in with an authority complex, like they just want to have power, right? But I
Yeah.
think some people go in because they honestly want to help people. And then to just disregard a whole group of people for whatever reason that comes to your mind is just insane to me.
Yeah. I just honestly, there's so much red tape in the background too, though.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make excuses for them, just me playing devil's advocate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much that goes on in the background.
Yeah.
I just makes me really mad.
Yeah. It's just, and that guy probably knew too, like, I can do this to this girl because she's indigenous and
Yeah.
the police will turn a blind eye to it. Like,
Yeah.
it's really sad.
Yeah.
So that's my story.
Thanks.
Yeah. Now I'm ready for your awful story. Hey, did I do okay with my ums? No,
Yeah, it was better.
I tried. But then like I get into my story and I completely forget, you know?
Yeah. No worries.
Poor Jessica, she does the audio editing, I do the video editing, and she's got to sit there and edit out my a gajillion ums.
I left them all in last week, so enjoy.
So enjoy.
I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
My fourth grade teacher would be so upset.
You were a teacher.
I know. I didn't teach public speaking, taught science.
So this story is really bad.
Yay.
Oh, I didn't really get into the backstory of the dude I'm going to talk about just because.
No one cares because he's a douchebag.
Yeah, and I like it's just the typical crap, right?
Yeah.
Like abusive household,
Mm-hmm.
turn into a little shit. So Marcus Wesson is the bad guy. The 12th of March, 2004, in a little Californian hamlet in Fresno. I'm sorry.
Hello?
Buffering. Oh my God. There was an extra word, and I'm like, this sentence makes no sense.
You just stalled out.
Oh my God. Okay.
Hey, you got that dress here.
I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
very nice.
Okay. Sorry. I'm going to start over now.
Okay.
The 12th of March, 2004, A little Californian hamlet in Fresno experienced a life-altering day. In the
What's
front
a
yard,
what's a hamlet?
it's just like a little grove.
Oh, okay.
Just
Just a little thing.
a little village.
Okay.
In the front yard of a modest house, two women were shouting wildly alongside their friends and family. They wanted their children returned to them.
Oh God.
A gigantic man standing at almost 6 feet tall with graying dreadlocks made an effort to soothe the two worried mothers. After seeing the disturbance outside, the neighbors dialed 911. When the police arrived, they thought the custody dispute was going to be a fairly typical one. But the man walked back into his home and he locked the front door. He was pleaded with to open the door and speak to an officer. Everyone at the moment then heard the first gunshot.
No.
A string of gunfire pierced the air within minutes. The home was surrounded by police, and Marcus Wesson, covered in blood, walked calmly out into the bright sunlight.
Shoot him. Just shoot
As
him
he
right
was
then.
led into a set of handcuffs, he was unsettlingly quiet. Sorry, it's a hard word.
Oh, I hate that so much. Like, I'm all for the justice system, but with something like that, just shoot him. Just shoot him dead.
Yeah. 9 victims were found stacked in the back bedroom of the home, 7 of which were under the age of 12.
Oh,
The other 2 victims were Elizabeth Wesson, 17, and Sabrina Wesson, 25.
so they were all young.
Yeah. Sofina Solorio, I don't know. Sorry. How would you say this? Solorio.
Solorio. I
Solorio?
would say Solorio. Yeah.
Solorio? Okay. Sofina Solorio and Ruby Oritz were the mothers who fervently pleaded for their children on that terrible day. Marcus Wesson was the elderly man with dreadlocks, and those distraught mothers were his nieces.
Oh gosh.
9 of Wesson's children and grandchildren were murdered because he thought that he was Jesus and that if anyone tried to split up the family, he said, quote, we would all go to heaven.
Oh.
Marcus Wesson claimed that Jesus Christ was also a vampire.
Oh. Oh, that's a new one. I have not heard that one before.
Yeah. He believed that both Jesus and vampires possessed the key to everlasting life.
I mean, he's not wrong in that aspect.
Yeah. And in his own personal self-made Bible,
Oh my God.
he stated that drinking blood was the key to immortality.
Oh my God. I am. I've had it up to here with people using religion
Yes.
and warping it to meet their own views and using it as a weapon.
Yep.
Had it up to here.
Yep. Agreed. I was gonna say that too. Like, it's like, just why?
Yeah. I think like the number one lesson the Bible says is love. Like that's the number one thing that God tries to teach is love. And how do you warp that to
One of
meet
the
your own needs? Yeah.
commandments is do not murder thy neighbor.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that also means your family.
Yeah.
Even weirder, months prior to the killings, he had also bought the family a dozen antique coffins,
Oh.
which further supported the Anne Rice way of life.
Well, good plug.
Yeah,
Have you read any of Anne Rice's stuff? Not to get off topic.
no.
I have not read, but one of the stations, I can't remember which one it is, has Interview with a Vampire. They turned it
Oh,
into a
so good.
series. It was so good.
So good.
Did you watch The Witches of
No,
nope. The Mayfair Witches?
no.
That's another Anne Rice one that they turned into a
Oh,
show. That was really good. I started reading the Witches. It's called The Witching Hours, the first book of that series. It's real hard to get into. I'm still working on it. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
he had stated that the burial goods were turned into wood and used as beds for his kids.
Ew.
Which, no. In Fresno, California, the Wesson family had gained notoriety as the dark details of their past came to light. All 18 of his descendants were fathered or grandfathered by him. With his nieces, Ruby Ortiz, Rosa Solorio, and Sofina Solorio, as well as his daughters, Kiana and Sabrina, he continued an incestuous relationship.
His daughters.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wesson also secretly wed 3 of his nieces and 2 of his daughters, giving birth to a large family through his child wives.
Oh.
Ruby Ortiz, one of his nieces, claimed that Marcus started harassing her when she was just 8 years old.
Oh my God.
Wesson had informed her that the sexual assault was a father's way to show affection to his daughter.
Poor kid.
Yeah. When Ortiz was 13 years old, Wesson told her that she was old enough to get married and that God wants man to have more than one wife.
I mean, you do you, boo boo, but with adults, come on.
Yeah. Additionally, he emphasized that God's people are disappearing. We must safeguard God's children. For the Lord, we must have more children. And as a result, Ortiz and Wesson had a baby boy they called Avi. I think that's how you say it. Aviv.
A-V-I-V. Eve?
Give me one sec. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I would think Aviv, but I don't know.
That's what I thought. It's AV.
Avi.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Oh no, I lost my story. Found it. As a result, Ortiz and Wesson had a baby boy they called Avi. Wesson had also been a very ardent admirer of the branch Davidian.
Yeah, Branch Davidians. Mhm.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome.
Leader David Koresh.
Yeah, he's not a good guy.
No. After a 51-day federal agent siege in 1993, Koresh and over 80 of his followers perished in a fire at their Waco, Texas compound, which Ashley spoke about a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Wesson explained to his kids that this is how the world is assaulting God's people as they watch news reports of the siege on television. This man and I are identical, he said. He is bearing offspring in the Lord's name. Having children for the Lord is what we should be doing. But Rosa Solorio and Kiani Wesson, Marcus Wesson's daughters / nieces, stated that the women in the home were content. They had stated that anything that occurred in the home was decided upon and discussed. It
I
was
mean,
entirely
yeah, but
deliberate.
brainwashed.
Exactly, right? Grooming.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Our
I mean, if
family,
he started when you're 8 years old, that's all you know.
yeah. Our family was democratic. Never was there any forced sexual activity or rape.
It was all rape, but yeah,
Yes.
poor things.
When questioned by the father of their children, the females had admitted that they had conceived via artificial insemination,
Oh,
which I don't understand.
were they lying?
Maybe.
Oh.
Marcus Wesson's history of sexual abuse of his daughters and nieces did not start with them, though.
Oh.
It all started when he first encountered Elizabeth Wesson, his legal wife, when he was just 8 years old. And then he married her when she was 15. So he
So
met her
he
when they
met
were
her when
8.
he was 8.
I don't know if like he was 8 or she was 8. I
Oh,
think
okay.
they were kind of like both.
Okay.
Yeah. They were both very young.
Gotcha.
In an interview, Elizabeth claimed that Wesson informed her, I belonged to him and that I was already his wife. And she continued by describing her early friendship with Wesson. She basically said that he was able to convince her that she was special and that the Lord had chose her to be his wife. Elizabeth became pregnant by the time she was 14,
Oh God.
and by the time she was 26 years old, she had already given birth to 11 children.
Oh my God. Can you imagine having 11 children?
No. Wesson's sons, who asserted that their father had raised them as Seventh day Adventists, and that he's the best dad we could ever have,
Oh.
had a very different experience than his daughters.
Yeah.
One son, Serafino Wesson, said he couldn't believe his father was the murderer because he seems incredibly threatening. I can't believe he did it, though. He's such a lovely man. Which, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, how can he appear so threatening, but he's also like a gentle, kind man?
Maybe he was trying to say that like he looks threatening, but he's really not. Like maybe that's what he was trying to say.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah. Since it was frowned upon for male and female to interact, the Wesson sons were raised apart from their sisters.
So they really had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. The Wesson family's male offspring were thus largely ignorant of the bizarre interactions between their father and their sisters. He even kept the daughters away from their own mothers.
Oh God.
He controlled what they ate, what they wore, and who they spoke to. They were beaten if they had an extra like tablespoon of peanut butter, if they girls were seen speaking to another guy. So it was just all bad. All were brutally beaten, despite being taught that the only place they could feel secure was at home. So that's a huge mental
Ugh.
complex.
Yeah, poor things.
And if the child moved or made any noise during those beatings, which he used basically like whatever he could find, tree branches, he ripped wires out of the wall, used those. And if they made any noise or moved, then it would go longer.
Ugh.
Marcus Weston was going to move the entire family to Washington State when Sofina Solorio and Ruby Ortiz arrived at the Weston family home on that fateful day to knock on the door. Sofina and Ruby hurried to ask for custody of their sons out of worry that they would lose all touch with them. They insisted that Weston had given his word that he would treat their sons with respect when they left them in his care, but instead, a burst of gunshots destroyed their entire future.
Ugh.
And the victims in order were Sabrina, 25, Lise, 17, Elabelle, 8,
Oh, I love that
Avi,
name.
isn't it pretty?
It's so pretty.
Avi, 7, Jonathan, 7, Ethan, 4, Sedona, 2, Marshy, 2, and Java, 1.
Oh my gosh.
Horrible.
Poor
Could you even
babies.
imagine?
No, poor. Can you imagine like the police officers that walked into that scene?
No, like they go there thinking it's just like a custody domestic
Yeah,
dispute, and then that ends up happening.
that I mean that would scar you for life.
100%.
Ugh, poor babies.
Wesson presented the defense at his trial that his 25-year-old daughter Sabrina, whose 18-month-old son Marshy, who was Wesson's own son and grandson,
Ugh.
was also killed, had herself. Oh, sorry. It's just worded really weird. Wesson presented the defense at his trial that his 25-year-old daughter, Sabrina, had committed the murders, including her 18-month-old son, Marshy, and then later committed suicide.
Oh.
Wesson was represented at the trial by public defenders Peter Jones and Ralph Torres. Sabrina's DNA was discovered on the firearm used in the murder, which supported Wesson's claim. The murder weapon was a .22 caliber revolver that was discovered alongside her body. So, who knows what actually happened?
Yeah. And, what people were forced or were not forced to do.
Yeah. If we all want to revert our eyes to Jonestown.
Yeah.
Although the jury did not determine that Wesson fired the fatal shots, they nonetheless found him guilty of murder, likely because they believed he had convinced his children to commit suicide.
Yeah.
On June 17th, 2005, Wesson was finally found guilty on 9 charges of first-degree murder, as well as 14 counts of forceful sexual assault and the sexual abuse of 7 of his daughters and nieces. On June 27th, 2005, Marcus Wesson received a fatal injection death sentence in the murder trial that followed, and he is currently still on death row at San Quentin State Prison.
Yeah, death row takes a long time.
Yeah. So that was my horrible, horrible story.
Yeah, that was
Rough.
rough.
I'm so sorry. But yeah, I'm sorry. uh, I'm gonna get us some jokes, okay?
Okay. I
Oh
don't have my
no.
phone, so I cannot.
Because you lost your remote.
So we lost our remote control, so I had to download an app to use. And my husband's downstairs watching TV, so he has my phone to use the remote.
Okay. Do we like Harry Potter?
I love Harry Potter. What house are you, Slytherin?
Dare you?
You're Gryffindor, aren't you?
How dare you? Um, yes, my heart belongs to Hufflepuff, but every single test I take puts me in Gryffindor.
What do you think I am?
You're obviously a Hufflepuff, you
Obviously.
donkey. Okay, you donkey. Why doesn't Snape teach herbology?
Why?
Because his lily died.
It's what?
Because his lily died.
Oh, no. The only thing I can ever think of with Snape is the Snape, Snape,
Snape.
Severus
Severus
Snape.
Snape. Dumbledore.
Ron Weasley.
Ron, Ron, Ron Weasley. Harry Potter, Harry Potter, Harry Potter, Harry Potter. Oh yeah, Harry Potter, Harry Potter.
So good. Good classic TikTok.
Oh, it was wonderful. What?
What?
Is that where you've seen it? Is TikTok?
Yeah, where'd you see it?
When I was in the 9th grade on YouTube. It was originally on YouTube. It's the
Was it
Harry
really?
Potter. Yeah, Harry Potter and the Mysterious Ticking Noise.
Oh, I thought it was on TikTok.
Oh my god. Well, it probably is on TikTok, but originally. Oh, this is a good one for you, Ashley.
So I'm just not cool. What?
What do you call a Hufflepuff with one brain cell?
A normal Hufflepuff.
Gifted.
Stupid.
I have one more.
Okay.
How does Harry Potter enter a door?
How?
Through the Griffin door. You get it? Oh, this one's funny. Okay, sorry, I have one more.
Okay.
What do you call a Hufflepuff with 2 brain cells?
Extra gifted.
Pregnant.
Yeah. That's a good one. Well, if you want more of us lovely ladies, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Patreon.
Yes. And if you would like to rate and review us, you can do so on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you do that right now, remember to take a screenshot and send it to us so that you can get in our contest draw.
Yeah, going on until August 6th.
Woo.
Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to bringing you 2 new stories next week.
Bye.